Every time you think you know where Higurashi when they cry go is going to go, you never do. It will say, oh, this is where you think you're going. Maybe we shouldn't trust this character. You know what? Maybe they actually do have everything good intentions. And then you end the episode with our boy somehow surviving with the uncertainty of was she actually trying to protect you or was she a crazy lunatic who just wanted a boyfriend locked in a cell who couldn't say anything different as she killed all of her obstacles. I don't know, but that's why I like this show. The mystery and the setup never feels like things are just magically happening because, the way to keep viewers engaged is by constantly keeping them on their toes, but then once you reach episode 24, which is how many episodes have been confirmed for this anime, you don't actually have a satisfying payoff. You can tell there is planning and structuring. The way these curves and twists and turns pop up, it doesn't feel randomly contrived. It feels as if there's a reason for it happening. It's just as you're watching it, whether you've seen the original or you're like me and many others who've never seen Higurashi, you don't know where it's exactly going, at least right now. I heard a lot of things about this doll and apparently how I think Mion never got the doll in the original anime, and that was going to be a pretty big deal. I mean, based on everything that happened, it feels like that probably changed a lot of things, and honestly, I'm surprised our boy survived. Not even just because he was locked in a murderous cell, it looked like. Just seeing how many characters ended up dead. I mean, the first character who kind of lost their marbles so far appears to be still alright, but then you have everyone else who is done. Rika's done. I mean, Shion was drowned in a well, and I'm like, even though this episode has so many points that you can just think and say, where is that actually going? There actually was a decent amount of reveals. I mean, one of the biggest mysteries to me was the whole idea of the town and why they were so murderous towards the group of goons who, I think it was 2 episodes ago, where they were trying to shake down some characters, and it kind of looked like if the police hadn't shown up, there probably would have been a bloodbath. I thought it was just more of a tight-knit group, but it feels like, there's some bad things happening. The whole idea that the close-knit persona of this town used to be something that was so good, and now it became this evil cultist mentality that the town will go out of their way and use the curse as basically a way to kill troublemakers, it almost feels like. The fact that if you just simply go into a shrine when the town says don't do it, the town will probably latch onto you and try to kill you, it makes you definitely want to trust in Mion, it definitely feels like. When she initially was like, hey, come on over to my house, I was like, Heiichi, my boy, get the hell out of this town, go get a game console, just stop hanging out with these characters. For a show that's always trying to make you trust these characters, it's almost impossible to ever trust these characters. And obviously that's intentional, and I do feel like there is certain characters you are supposed to trust, but it's hard to say who you should actually trust. When a little girl starts giving you demonic eyes and then that little girl ends up dead, you're like, well, she can't be bad, can she? But then maybe she is bad. And then Mion apparently is a murderous psychopath, and maybe she did that for good reason, but then again, how could you be doing that for good reason, unless really the whole town needs to be slaughtered? You're once again flipping my persona of the cop, who I'm like, okay, this guy's stranger danger, but at this point, he might be the only character you can trust if you're currently alive in this timeline. There's so many things happening, and it constantly keeps you asking these questions. But what I really, really love is the idea of this town and how it doesn't even feel like necessarily a specific character is who you shouldn't trust. It's the idea of this entire town and how this curse, whether it's literal or they drank too much Kool-Aid and they're using this as an excuse and the curse doesn't actually exist. I don't know. It's just so intriguing. People do not trust our boy. Our boy goes back into the classroom and little girls are trying to shake him down, and I'm like, oh my god, is he gonna get killed here? And what I love what the anime is doing with its art design is they constantly cast shadows on the character's eyes, but they don't show you what the eyes look like. So you never know when they look up, are they going to look like a Mion in this episode looking like a demonic devil, or are they going to be a normal girl with just a slight hint, a slight blush of psychotic killer nature? I love how constantly you don't know what you're going to see. And usually in a show like Higurashi, when they have the psychotic characters and the shocking moments, when you get those okay, they're looking down, they got this shadowy blush, it means they're gonna be psycho. Honestly, it feels like 1 out of 6 times they actually are. So it constantly keeps you on your toes, which you have to give a lot of props to, and there clearly is a lot of thought behind the directing. So anytime a character's off to the side or they're front and center, there's a reason for it. and it constantly makes your mind think, so by the time something crazy does happen, you're honestly still caught off guard, and even if you're not totally caught off guard, it serves a purpose still by progressing the plot in a crazy way. I really felt like we shouldn't trust her at all in this episode. I felt like, you're trying to shake her boy down on a ladder. She was freaking out. She was having a seizure on the ladder. I'm like, you look like a psycho. You look crazier than anything we've seen so far. Maybe not quite as crazy as the lunchbox scene, but still, we're getting up there. And then she's like, hey, come on over. And I was like, hey, are we talking to Xian? Are we talking to me on it? It's still a very hard thought process to follow because there obviously are these slight differences in the vocal performance, but it's not enough to really know unless you really pause the episode, sit back, and try to analyze every little fluctuation in their vocal range. So when she started acting really nice with the tea, I was like, oh, that has to be Xian. But then she comes back and she's a little more bitchy. I'm like, okay, is that Mion? And then it felt like Mion was actually the one trying to help the most, but then you're saying Xian died. It was very hard to follow that thought process, and that's not me saying that's an issue. I love the mystery angle. If I'm having a hard time following exactly, it means the mystery's doing well. The only way the mystery would fall flat on its face is if it never explained everything by the end of its run, which I'm sure it will. It does feel like, if I had to guess, this isn't a confident guess, probably Mion had good intentions, but I don't think she did things all that well because it feels like she was all about trying to get him to trust her, and she trusted no one in return. But then again, the town is psycho. The town is using this curse as a way to kill troublemakers. I don't know. Our boy should have just watched that dance, it feels like. I love how unpredictable this show is. Every week you think you finally have a grasp on what Higurashi is and wants to be. And I continue to see people be like, I seen the original, I played the game, I have no idea where this is going. And then people like myself, never seen Higurashi, are like, we don't know where it's going. And everyone has a different way of analyzing the episode, and it gives a completely unique and different experience. And I honestly can't remember an anime ever doing this before, at least as well as Higurashi clearly is. That's why I think so many people were shocked when the creators were saying, hey, this is for both old and newcomers alike, because it's never really been done before in such an elegant and graceful way, but clearly they're doing so if everyone's enjoying it who's decided to check it out. I just love how horrifying this episode was, and I love how it constantly makes you feel like you're supposed to trust characters, but it feels like you can't trust characters, especially on the one who I was like, you know what, I believe you, you're clearly about to go shoot some bitches, but you know what, I'm trusting in you. And then by the time he gets out, which I gotta say, this guy, he knocked down that prison gate pretty well. I'm willing to give it benefit of the doubt. Very old cell. Maybe our boy has a good shoulder. I was like, if he busts down that second door, I'm going to be like, there's no way in hell, even as crazy and supernatural as this is. So it's nice to see that he actually was bloody and passed out from that. But when you get out of that situation and you learn how many characters she killed, I'm like, okay, maybe we shouldn't go with her as the love interest. I don't know. Just a crazy episode. No idea where it's going to go from here. I mean, everyone's guess is as good as mine, and no one actually knows except the mastermind behind this project. Let me know your thoughts and feelings though down below. I'd be interested for everyone, people who know of the original or are brand new to this. What do you think, and what was your personal favorite moment? For me personally, it was that ladder scene. Was not expecting it. I mean, there's obviously some hints building up to it, but always they catch me off guard when they do go completely psychotic, crazy mode. Definitely let me know. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like to show your support and hit that subscribe button if you happen to be around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.